Okay, this is Elliot Wave Sage. I'm going to go ahead and live stream while I have some time this morning. Like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. And market is definitely getting overbought, and it's ready for a pullback or potentially the next a much bigger leg lower. We don't know if it's just going to be a small pullback and then higher, or we'll get this type of action. We'll see what happens. So, just kind of bigger picture. One of the things I was looking at earlier in the market, and let me go to a different chart here and show you on the SPY. I'm looking at the SPY, and I really like this triangle idea, and it should be ending soon. It's really elegant in terms of the count, and it makes more sense to me looking at it in a simple, pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for A, B, and C. And you look at this, and it's and if you look at the RSI on the daily, this is typically what you want to see for a triangle. The RSI confirms it. Also, even the MACD confirms it, and I don't really ever look at the MACD, to be honest with you guys. I just happen to have it on here for some reason, but I just noticed that. So it's obviously a triangle, in my opinion, and then that would account for these unorthodox swings, the overlap in nature, also different three-wave moves. Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I'm looking at, like I said here, a triangle here, as you could see, 5 down, and then three waves. And like I showed on the RSI, it contracts, and the MACD contracts the same way, like that. You see that? That's going to allow for a very explosive move, and I believe to the downside when it's complete. So because of that, that would also explain. So these are three-wave moves within it. I won't label the individual legs of the triangle, but you can get the idea of an A, a B, a C, a D, and now we're finishing E. And it makes perfect sense. How do we, draw this triangle? Well, let's take a look and see where the peaks line up. Right there, right there, and then here, here. So if you look at where the SPY is, the next four, that looks like 413.42 is the extreme, and I believe is a good likelihood that we touch that. Now, it can finish still at any moment. It doesn't have to. So if you're worried, if you're a day trader, you probably do need to worry about upside. Or if you're really, brave, you could try to get this a little bit. But like I said, you're playing with fire because I believe the triangle's finished or almost finished that we've been in since June 22. And then when it ends, normally it unravels pretty quickly. And if you look at the IWM, it had the same pattern and it's already broke down. So it's leading the downsides. You see that? I believe the SPY and the triple Qs are going to do the same thing and come out of this consolidation. This, and if you look at the IWM, it wasn't even a triangle. It's just a simple three-wave correction with a three-wave move down like that. So as you can see, here we are. This looks like an impulse of some kind, just like we had here. And so this is the first leg of the first W wave. So something like that is what I'm thinking. Something like that is what I'm thinking. So April we probably finished the W, and then in the summer we bounce in X, and then in the October September time frame, Y comes into play. That's kind of the IWM. The SPY, kind of the same thing. So when this breaks down, I believe we'll get, um, something like this, and then we'll come down, come up, and come down. I bet my guess is this too is going to be one of those extreme pumps, and this will probably be through the summer, just enough to fool people, and then wave three comes later in the fall. So if you are a bear and you're like, cool, I shorted this, oh man, I'm getting paid, it's 370, 360 SPY, I would definitely take some off the table and try to play the counter trend rally into here. Because I bet you it's going to pump all. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes all the way back up to 400. So just keep that in mind. But I do think once this breaks, then the direction is clearly going to be lower. And then, of course, the triple Qs is one everyone's really fixated on at the moment. And I think this one is just a simple WXYXZ, a triple corrective structure that hasn't finished yet. It's still in the Z leg, but once it does, then this should also come down in 5. And I would imagine the same thing. You get like a 1 and a massive 2, and then a 3, 4, 5, something like that. And this 2 is probably the summertime pump, the summer pump. But this 1 is probably the April crash, maybe even into May, somewhere around that time frame. So this is my best guess looking at the market right now, something like that. And then the Dow Jones, I look at this as WXY down, and then here is 3. But if you look at this spike, it's clearly corrected the whole cycle here, this RSI. So this is a connector for this whole move. So this looks like 3 waves. So again, that looks like the first part of W. We'll get an X to finish that. We'll get a bounce like the Russell showed you. And then later, towards the, fall, we get, this catastrophe drop, waterfall drop. So I do think coming up, we're going to get a sell-off, but I think it would be smart to think about trying to play this bounce in maybe like the Russell and the Dow stock sectors, energy, miners, metals, silver, gold, that type of thing. I would probably not be buying the dip in any of the technology stocks, even though they should rally too in this wave too. But I think the Dow is poised to rally stronger, and it may even come back up to retest this downtrend line from wherever we end up down here. So I think UDow and those would present a good trading swing trade opportunity when this sell-off gets down. If assuming the Dow is done, and it could be to 30,000, and then bounce. And again, you could play this by buying energy, miners, metals. The dogs of the Dow stocks should hit their lows here, like Mattel and this other play. So that's that. And then we bounce, and then I think the whole market is a massive risk-off move in this time frame coming. So that's my forecast at the moment. So that's more of like a midterm forecast, and I think short term, the move is ready to turn at any moment. And now we'll go back to the short term charts. The short term chart is, if you look at the Dow Jones, we hit the sell area. Yes, on Friday, it looks like a WXY, an ABC, a 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in 5 already, and we have divergence on the 15-minute on 5. We don't on the 45, but look, When the 45 got up here, look what happened. Look what happened. The 45 at 81 RSI, and then look. What do you think's going to happen? Is it just going to go all the way to like, 120? Like the market is going to go down, guys. The market, just like it did here. See that? This is going to puke. But I don't think it's going to puke like the way people expect. I think, like I said, I think it's 30,000 ish area. Uh, and again, I have to update this specific, but I think it's going to bounce and confuse traders and confuse people and do something like that. So just keep that in mind if you're trading it. But this move is done in my mind. It was a massive short opportunity to play that, and we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks. But I imagine just like we saw here, I could probably cut and paste that over here. And what caused that on March 6th? What caused this massive sell-off? It was all the inflation data was starting to come in, and it showed inflation really wasn't getting under control. So the dollar started rising. So look at where the dollar is now, guys. The dollar is ready to rise. The dollar has come up in 5 waves, pulled back in 3. We came up in 1, came down in 3, and now we're testing the downtrend line. And I believe this will cause the sell off across the market up into this area. And then here, the dollar has options, but it should find the sellers again and allow the market to rally and perhaps maybe one more move higher to close the kill the market. So I do think the dollar is on the verge of a breakout. Look what the dollar did, on Friday. It was green. What was the bonds? Look at those sell-off. Look, people were selling. The people that can move the bond market, they were like, hey, let's cash out and move in the bonds. That's what they were doing. And the dollar rose, and the VIX really didn't, they can't really drop the VIX much anymore. I wouldn't be surprised to see it try to hit 1744, but we've seen it hit support here so many times to mark massive lows. There's just no more room on the downside for the VIX to go down to bring the market into significant new highs without a bounce, without a drop and a bounce in the VIX. And I'll get to your questions, guys, after I go through this market overview. And then, as you can see, that's the Dow. The SPY is a little different. I still have it in the triangle. So a triangle, you need 3 wave legs. So you have 3 waves, 3 waves, 3 waves. And so then in the Y wave, you need to have 3 waves as well. So let me label that again here. So in the Y wave, you have your A, your B, and now you're in your C. And again, it looks like you're missing the 4 and the 5. Like that. So that's why I think, and this is probably where the bears capitulate. And I think you'll get something like this. Of course, I can't rule it out. That it's done. Because when you go to the 15-minute, I could try to make a case if I'm biased to do something like that, and then put the 5 there and say we're in 5 and you have the divergence. And again, since it's a 3-wave move, you don't want divergence here. And again, guys, look at the 4-hour peak. What happened last time when we were up here? A massive puke. Here we are again. What about the daily? What does the daily say? I mean, look, I think on the Nasdaq it's better, shows better. Every time the daily hit these bought conditions, marks significant peaks, and we're about to hit that again. Oh, is it just going to go up? It's just like you see on Twitter. Oh, it's just going to go up. Not without a pullback first. So pullback's coming. A pullback's coming. All right. So then on technology, again, looking for this 3-wave move. ABC 1, 2, and again, looks like we're missing the 3, 4, 5. And then that should do it. So that's what I would expect. 3 to end at any moment. Get 4, you get this 5, which I think will get a lot of capitulation, and then somewhere That should do it. And the 4 hour is now showing it's complete because you don't want to have divergence on this type of move. But you do need to show it on the shorter time frame, which we're starting to see already here on the 15-minute. All right, so that's the market. That's where I think we're heading on. And again, technology, I would imagine it's not going to be this simple, like I think let me put that. I think we'll go like A somewhere like here in this support, and then the market does this B, and then this is where there are some tech stocks that are 5 off the low. This will allow them to finish their sequences, and then you get a massive drop later in C. And then if you look, it kind of looks like a head and shoulders a little bit. If A can break, I expect it to back test like that, and then so I don't know, but tech's at the most dire, most risky, for the most decline, the quickest downside, which shows most likely that inflation is going to come in to do that really hot, and the Fed may have to raise more than 25 basis points based on the data. And if you think about it, the data coming in April is going to have all that information. Remember when egg prices were like super high and used car prices were up, and so shit's been pumping. And March isn't helping with oil pumping now, and the commodities starting to move again to the upside. So these inflation reports are going to come in hotter than normal in the April-May timeframe if the way things are going. So the Fed increased its balance sheet, but to the detriment of inflation. And I think they'll regret it, and I think they did that to pump the equities back in the bank stocks. But if you go to the financials, none of that money really made it in there. Schwab is down. Wells Fargo couldn't get any kind of pump going, so it backfired. I think they put the money in to get these things up more, get equity going, and actually it didn't. It went into the riskiest of things, technology and growth, and now it'll bleed into commodities. And so I think they won't do that again, and they'll have to raise rates more than they thought. And that's what these stock instruments are saying here. Whenever we get done, that eventually wave 3 is coming, or the next leg, or the final leg, that we are going to get another swing in the 2-year that's going to break 5-1. The question is how high is it going to go? And we don't know the answer to that, but that is coming. This swing is coming. It's like a stalker watching in the forest, ready to bear ready to come after you. This is coming, guys. This is coming. Rates are going higher. If people think this was it, they're gonna find the hard way. Now, we do know that this move is probably got one more swing lower. When this happened here, that's when the banks collapsed. So chances are this will be a flush again in the banks and Russell and everything. And then what this chart is saying is the Fed will go back all in on the liquidity. But once they do that to stop the hemorrhaging, then inflation is going to go out of hand. Gold over 2,000, silver over 30, and natural gas will finally get pumping, and then shit will get out of hand. And then I think at some point up here there'll be the market will succumb to the higher rates, and then you'll get a deflationary crash in that final leg down. It's yet to be seen how low it goes. But I do believe since we have 5 up, we need another swing higher. So the crisis is not over. Inflation isn't done. In some ways, it's really just beginning. And then the 10-year today, like we mentioned, I believe it is done in 4, and I believe we're just pulling back in this 2-wave. And then we'll pump higher. This is very bad for technology. We should hit this 5% area or low 4% on the 10-year, and then have a massive pullback. This would be an area to buy the TLT, and then this will be a pullback. But of course, since it's 5 waves, you know what that means. It's going higher again. So this is just a trade. when this 5 comes. And we'll go from there. So I think I covered everything with the market. And let's go with Bitcoin so you guys want to see where Bitcoin is. In Bitcoin, as you can see, I have 3 waves. I'm going to label it now as an ABC, an expanded flat. And that gets the target up to this 30,000 area. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're in a 5th wave. And it kind of lines up with the rest of the market. It's probably wave 1 of 5. Now, this is an impulse. We did make a new high. I mean, 5 could be done here. We don't know. If you actually look, that looks like an impulse down here. So if that's the case, the move in Bitcoin could be over. It could be done. It's yet to be seen if it will make new lows. I think that's up to the market and the dollar. For now, I label this bearish chart, but I think I will be going long on crypto against this low if we get down to the 20,000 area again. If we can come down to 20,000, I'll speculate on a long side on crypto here with a stop loss at these lows here. If these lows break, then we're going to 10,000, 8,000, as low as 6,000 if they break. But it may not. This count may be wrong because we did impulse off the bottom. This could still be the low, or it could at least be an A, B, C, and then lower. So that's why I'm not as bearish on Bitcoin as some of the other instruments. But it should be pulling back regardless. It's going to pull back. And then goal to, like I said, should be finishing this move higher. I had this triangle finished 1, 2. We should be moving. This should be risk off for the markets. As gold's been pushing higher, the market usually sells off. So I think somewhere around 2080, and then that wave should finish, and then we should get a broader pullback, and this should be a risk off across the whole market. And then that would be a great opportunity to buy gold again if you didn't buy it earlier. And I would probably look to go long in this area when this comes. Okay, so here we go, guys. I'm going to go to your questions now, and that's the market overview. And yeah, I know it's frustrating because everyone wants to be a day traders and make money every day. But yeah, I like, one, I can't sit in front of the screen every day. I have a job, so I have to just get positions and then know 2 or 3 weeks later I'll be in the profit versus every day watching every tick. So yeah, if you were a day trader, as soon as this high broke here, that was a clue we were gonna extend higher. And how did I trade that? Well, I was already short here, and then I knew this was just an extension, so I just didn't add to my positions until Friday. Really, it waited to close. And I've traded the market for so many years, and in bear markets, they love to pump and squeeze all the way to 3:59 p.m. And they did that back in the 2020 correction before a massive leg lower happened. So this is common. It's a common market maker technique. I traded it here, saw it. Go back to March 2020 and show you guys. It's very similar. What happened on Friday happened here. See this move? I traded that, and this literally closed at 3:59 at the high, and guess what? We opened the next day down there. Now that would be a bear's dream, right? That would be my dream, that Monday we open up down there, at 395 or something. But this is what they do, right? I mean, here people thought, oh, that is a correction, and it was over, and we're going to fill this gap. That's all I heard about. That's all. Also, all the guys you probably follow that are buying calls right now, calling for new all-time highs. That's what they were all saying here. But what did I do? I had max short. I was as short as I had almost my whole account short. But I waited to 359, and then I placed all those orders and got them filled. And then look what happened. Holy shit! And then I think I took profit around here. But here's the thing, guys. That's what bear markets do. They squeeze. They squeeze like in a vertical, like uncontrolled, manner. It crashes upward. In a bull market, you get crashes downward. In bear markets, you get crashes upward. and that's what happened on Friday. And so it'll be interesting to see how we open on Monday. To be honest, are we going to just drop like we did here with a gap and then go, or is it going to do a 4 and a 5? Do a 4 and a 5. All right, let's go to questions now. See what you guys think. Let's move that back. Okay. Again, I'll have to go in order until my super chats come back. MicroStrategy. Well, MicroStrategy is doing well. It's doing well, and again, I helped people get in on that, and here, so we here we pushed up in one, we're down in two, and we're only up in three waves. My guess is we're going to come back down for another swing lower, and then that would be a buy, because this looks like 5 waves up from here. But it may not do that if Bitcoin is going to fool people. So that would be 167. So the question is it done? Is it done this swing? It looks like it isn't. I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't look like that swing is done. I think it's got another a little pop coming. So but as you can see, it's obviously 3. Yeah, I probably should put the 1 there. You see there's no divergence there. So that's some kind of 3-wave move. The whole cycle. And then here is 3 waves. A connector. And now we need another 3 waves. So we need another little bit higher to go. So I'm looking for an A, a B, and a C, something like that. And this B could go to 323.57, like that. Is it as a flat? So that's what I'm thinking right now. And again, it may not play out like this. I always could be not exact. And again, this may be like 158. But I think in the end, it's going to do something like that. I think it's got a pop to erase divergence. I want to see the 45-minute break that RSI peak. The 4-hour just needs to break. So yeah, it just needs like a little bit more of a pop like that wick right there, and then that should do it, and that should do that 3-wave. And again, it's 3 waves, 3 waves. This looks like 5 waves up with divergence. Yeah, this is 5 up, and so MicroStrategy is telling you, Lisa was telling me, now this is 5 up. In the scheme of things, there's a more bearish interpretation, right? This will tell you Bitcoin's going to be supported by the dip in Bitcoin, right? That's what this is telling us. Bitcoin's bottomed. But there's also another chart you need to be aware about, and this is an alternative that I'll mention. And it looks a little different, where this is an X, like that. And this is an A, B, C, and it's done here in something like, and then this is 3 waves, 3 waves, and this is 5 waves up, and X is done here, and this is just a bear flag. This is just a bear flag. Okay, guys, so you gotta be careful, or bear pennant, or whatever you want to call it, like that. You see that? I don't know what you call that, but something like that. And if that's the case, then this would be then this would be the first W. So it would be W, X, Y. So you have W, X, Y. and why would probably go to like 80 in the 80s. So this is the more bearish version of MicroStrategy, but I do think it should bounce here for a trade or new highs. So do what's best for you. But I do think this is just as equally likely right now as the bullish version. So just I don't know. I mean this is where I don't know the future. The future is not predetermined. We don't. No one knows. I think, but I do think it seems like this is going to pull back, and then we're going to get a bounce here, and then at that point, I don't really know. Could the bounce go to new all time, highs? Sure, it may, or it may fail one more time, and come down to this final area in the 80s, and the bear flag breaks. This bear flag breaks. So, anyway, BRKB. I thought we had looked at this earlier and it should be turning down. And of course, people like Berkshire, but it's taking a while, but it's coming down. But I think it's coming down in a wave four to make new highs later in a 5. But I could be wrong. But this is I have it finished, and it's weak. It looks like again a WX. Yeah, it looks like do something like that, and then here it will bounce hard and then down to wherever I got the 4 at, down here. And then this is like an ABC. Something like that. So let's look at these legs. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So probably put the A there. 1, 2, 3, and then connector, and then up. The sell area is right here for the short, and that's where it is right now. So that's the short area, and then if that area happens to fail, then perhaps it goes to like 284, this area, for the bounce. Something like that. And like I said, this bounce will be a long, it'll be a good healthy bounce, but I believe it will fail. It also looks like it's making like a head and shoulders, right? When you do this, see that? And then it finishes for somewhere around here. So that's how I'd look at it for now. And like I said, it should bounce here, but it doesn't have to, right? It could do one of these and just go right to and finish the correction. We don't know, but this is just my best guess. BA and A, B, and B. All right, BA. Let's see, I have that. It needs more upside, it looks like. 3x. Yeah, 3. And then looks like so I think this is too bearish, but if we can't take out 221, you have to go with that more bearish case. So this, I wanted to see it move higher, but I don't. If it can't, then X is here, and then this is just your first three-wave move down, your first larger degree W, and then this X, and then you get Y. But I think for me, WX, it doesn't. It seems like it's incomplete because if again WXY, but this is an impulse, so it's really an A, B, C, and then it finishes something like that. So I don't know. I won't worry about that. I think this for now it's could be both. I think it's a pullback and B, and then another high, and then who knows? And like I said about BA, they're just one Bowen Max crash away from being wiped out. So there's definitely event risk in this stock. Because the next Bowen Max that crashes, this company is like it's game over. If that ever happens, and of course we don't want it to, but if you're a shareholder, you need to understand that risk, that event risk you have by holding this stock. Because they'll be forced to write off all those planes. That'll be the end, and then the shareholders will be wiped out because they'll have to. I don't know how they could survive. They would have to they'd have to get bailout or restructure everything. So, but for now it's good times in Boeing. I do think though, bounce should be supported here, 178, 167 for higher prices. That's the way it looks to me. Good luck on that one. And then Airbnb. Called the bottom on that, guys. Yeah, I hope you guys followed me. See, boom. And now we're in the 2. All right, so the 2 can still go deeper. It looks like it still needs more upside though on the bound or it could be done. So I don't know. I think here with Airbnb it could either be done. Let's take a look how we came off. Yeah, we have divergence, so it's 5 waves off. So this looks like we broke the high, just like the market did. So this seems like it's going higher. Again, this is why market may not be ready to sell off just yet, but Airbnb looks like it's going to like 129, 132, and then it's either going to fail. It's either going to fail, make one more low, and 2 here, or it's done and it's going to go vertical. But I don't think so with the rest of the market going down. Like I don't think it's going to do that. When's its earnings? May 11th. Well, here you go. So I think it's more upside, and then I believe it's going to be kind of like a coin flip. Does it go vertical, or does it take another swing? My bet is another swing lower, and now down to 95, and that seems reasonable to make a double bottom, or and that's not even really a double bottom, and then that would be a great opportunity for investors to buy that against this low. It's pretty safe because now you have a stop area and you could be buying a wave 3. So something like that. So that would be the setup for Airbnb, something like this. And if we break that low, all bets are off. Then it's back to, is this just some kind of bear flag? But I don't. But since it's 5 up, I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it is. I think this is the right count. So I want to mark that. Keep an eye on that. Yeah, the upward move in the SPY has weak volume. I understand. Yeah. Oh, I skipped over a couple. Let me see here. Natural gas is got me worried because there's just too many people still trying to buy the bottom, and the way the market works is it will keep going down until people finally give up and don't want anything to do with it. So I think if you're in it, you need to be mentally prepared for it to go into the mid ones, and that's like still a 50% move down. I look at this chart here. Um, it's supported this low. It could be an ABC for a bigger move than lower. But again, we need to really look at the RSIs to confirm cycles are over. So here's the daily cycle. And as you can see from the daily cycle, it's not over. You see that? So we're still in the bear market. It's just a bear market bounce for now. The weekly cycle, same thing. It's just a bear market bounce. These cycles have to break. Let's go to the monthly. Even the monthly. So this is actually a really steep bear market. This is a much higher degree bear market, and I would imagine I'm thinking this monthly is going to come to the oversold area. So you got to do what's best for you. I think you have this trend line support. My guess is we'll break that on the monthly and then really get some real capitulation, just like we did in the oil market in the COVID lows. And so you have to think about how do you want to hedge your position accordingly until you see at least you want to see some of these cycles break, but they're just not ready yet. They're just not ready yet. Now the 4 hour cycle did break, so we are obviously in a corrective bounce, which is good, but it's still within the bear market time frame. See, we're just correcting this cycle. But this could be just 1, 2, right? It could still be in a wave down. What if this is just a 1, 2, and then you get 3, 4, 5, right? So I'm being more cautious. I'm making sure I have hedges and I'm understanding the market better because I think there's just too many people trying to like time the bottom, and that's a great recipe for the market to continue to go lower. So this pump could still go to 229 here. So again, maybe hedge yourself with short it. What the hell? Short it right here. And again, and then just stop out. Hedge it. Hedge. You could hedge yourself in this area. I don't like this turn down here, but yeah, I think the bear market is a much higher degree than I thought. I think it could be even a grand super cycle degree bear market, which means the monthly needs to get more than likely pushed down on the RSI. And then if we look at cold, there was something cold did that did concern me a little bit, but not for the moment. I do see a WXYZ finish in here and down. It should swing down. Okay. Now, again, this could be within a bigger three-wave move. We don't know. Like this could be another WX. It could do that, and then finish and top off with like an ABC, which wouldn't surprise me. It does something like that. So perhaps the way that perhaps when this X, if this X comes down here, it does something like that. You could hedge against 40. So I don't know. You just have to play it. But I do think when I look at this, cold looks like to me 3 down and then corrective up, but there's no divergence. Now, if we put in divergence, if we make another high in cold with divergence, then I would be really concerned because then you're going to have a 1, 2, and then it's going to go it's going to bust out of this and go to 130. So and again, nothing's in a straight line either. So, but I don't see divergence yet. But if it were to make it, it could pull back and then do something like that. So be careful. So I would say natural gas is something that I'm not. Again, investor, you're gonna be fine. Trader, you may be getting your account blown up if you're long right now. I'm just being honest with you guys. Trader, I would never buy long trading it. Invest in, yeah, because in the long term, it's going to come back, years from now. But trader, no way. Setup is super dangerous. In fact, the trade may be to short in this area and play for this drop. To be honest, that's the trade. But the investor, this is a good investment area here, and also down here, these areas. So buy here, and then you're just gonna have to wait it out, and hopefully you don't need the money for a while. If you're a trader, you're gonna blow your account up. That's what's gonna happen. Bullish scenario on the SPY is if it bounces higher. In the corrective structure takes another leg higher. So I have to go back to my longer term charts to show you what I mean by that. So there's always a bearish case. So this is my preferred view. Well, of course, the other view is something a little different. Um, we could still be in B like this. So what if it's not a triangle? Just ignore this for now because I don't want to erase it. But what if it's this and it's an A, B, C, like that, and it's a bigger, more dramatic expanded flat, and then here is like a 1 2 1 2, right? 1 2, and you get like 3 4 5, 4 something. This was the melt up. This is what I was calling a month ago, right? But remember, the financials in the Russell don't support this kind of upside. It's just not practical. It just doesn't seem responsible to say this is going to happen and the dollar is going to go higher and the Russell and the banks are going to super pump because there's no way the SPY can make it up to here without the banks and financials. Now, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe Bank of America's trading at $18 up here, which who know? I don't, or it's back up to 35. I don't know, but I'm just saying the market to me doesn't support this view, but this is a viable path. That would be 450, 482, and then you get C later. But like I've always said, it's coming. C is coming. No matter what, why it's going to happen. I just think with the structure in the financial sector now, the market's going to be under pressure, and so bring this back here. So, like if I go to the XLF here, look at that. It didn't even bounce, but it corrected the cycle, right? Look at the 4 hour. I mean, look at the massive hidden bearish divergence. It's like people are dumping financials, guys. I mean, even with this pump today, people like the last week, I mean, people are selling into this. I mean, the financials are screwed, guys. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like the financial sector screwed, and so there's no way SPY is going to trade 480 or 450 if the financials are down here. It's just not going to happen. And I think it's irresponsible or hopium to think this is just going to go back up to 38 or 40. I mean, that only happens, I think, if inflation goes back, everything just goes back to the way it was. No inflation, the Fed stops cutting, rates go back to zero. Yeah, maybe that could happen. Doesn't look good. So that's the reason. And then the Russell's in a bad situation too. But anyway, that's a more bullish scenario. SOXS. What is that one again? Oh, is that like a European index or semiconductor? Yeah, semiconductor. Yeah. So right away you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. And there's your connector. So this is your first leg down. A. B. So now you see how we made another leg down here. So the question is this 3 waves or 5 waves? And that's always the question. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1. That's 5 here. Connector 3. So it's 3 waves. Um, so given that, let's look up. Let's look here at this leg. 3 waves. All right. So I think, yeah, 3 waves. 3 waves. All right. So we're in B. See how this low broke? Very bearish. It shows that the bear market isn't over, despite all the hopium here. And here it is. So now where do you sell it? You sell it right at 455.75. We're almost there. So right there, right in this area. And then I guess bigger picture. I don't know what that retraced altogether. Let's see. What do you know? The 618. Yeah, I think that if again that looks like where it's game over, and that times well with Nvidia and AMD and all these other things. So I think that's what that. So that's my look for SOXS, just like that here, and then this leg should be an impulse of some kind, so like a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, yeah. So it's still got more upside, but it's almost over. Man, they really pumped this thing. 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, so it's coming up into here. And there's another area right there. So you have a confluence of fibs. This will be super hard resistant. Like this is going to be mega resistance here, 460. It's going to be like you know, massive wall of resistance. And then the next leg lower begins, and that should probably get you down to 252, 189. Like that. All right, good luck on that one. Let's go back to my short-term charts. The upward move in the SPY has been very weak volume. Triangles like to retest the median. Yeah, I'm not like an expert in triangles, but you know, I do know that they like to touch the, you know, obviously the edges of them, but it also kind of explains the choppy nature, sideways nature of the market. Um, yeah, where is the center line? Let's take a look at where that is. What's somewhere around 398, 400. Oh, go figure. Is it at? I keep hearing a lot on the internet about 400, 400. So I guess that's like the center line. Let's see here. I'll try to go through some of these. Mullen, I thought that company isn't even around anymore, right? I mean, let's see. Oh, we got our little pump here in our area. We mentioned. I still think it's 4 though. Um, I don't think that's 5 done. Let me see. Unless, yeah, corrected the whole cycle. So yeah, it's 4. It's 4. So it bounced at 4, but it should make one more low. Again, if the company can even survive. So yeah, it's in 4. As you can see, the two. So it could go up. It could even go back up to 25 cents even in the 4 wave. So it's tough to say where it's going to end, where the pump will end. Here you have 3. It looks like it wants to drop again. Maybe it makes another move higher for one more. But I do think that's what Mullen's in. Vuzix is trades with the Russell, unfortunately, and a little bit of technology, but mostly the Russell. And I have it in this 4-wave, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got to change. I didn't change this part of it, but I basically have it as an impulse coming down. So something like this. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Now, I don't think 5's done here, given the market. The market still needs to go lower, so I think it's in 5, and I think it's just 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. So I think it's something like that. It's not exact, but you get the idea. So I do think it's got more downside coming, and if you really look, it's got a massive top that's about to break the neckline right here. You see that? So I think it's going to fall back down to this area of support right here, or somewhere in this area, and it should be doing this soon. But really, it hasn't rallied, right? And all this pumping, it hasn't rallied at all. So that's where it's headed. I'm not buying it because I don't like the chart. I just don't like the chart. I don't like how it's not pumping. No reaction. It seems like it wants to puke down. Johnson and Johnson's in a buy area. There are stocks that are actually buys. This is one of them. I was looking at this. It's just sitting here. I believe it needs a 5-wave and then it should be done. So again, this is a very defensive stock. So perhaps when the market sells off, people will look for a stock like this. But I do think it's maybe it could have a smaller drop. It may already be done. It's tough to say, but I do think this is an area that a bounce is coming. And in fact, it's 3 waves down, so it could go to new highs from here. So this is a great setup. So not if you want to buy something, this would be one to buy, right now. And again, I think when the market gets defensive, this will probably rise. That's my guess, but I could be wrong. We'll see. Yeah, look at that. That 4-hour cycle broke. So yeah, it looks like it's turning up already. It looks like this leg is done. I think the worst case scenario could be something. So there's a more bearish scenario where it does something like that. I would say if you're going to buy it, you need to put your stop at this low right there at 150. If I was trading it, if I was going to go buy it, I would have a stop right there at that low, because then you risk an A, B, C, and down to like 134. Platinum Group Core is about to come out. I was looking at that the other day. That looks pretty good. But with the dollar strengthening, I do believe gold and silver are gonna get a pullback. I don't want to FOMO in on that one just yet. But as you can see, it hit the area and now it's coming up. So I believe as long as it's above 120, it's a good buy, but I would be careful for the triple WXYXZ, and it comes down a little deeper. But once it breaks this downtrend, it should pump. So that's a good one. Um, Roku is like Vuzix. I think it's in a wave five. It's just gonna go down, meander down. Crocs could have made a new low, could be going to new highs. I was looking at that. I have to find it. So I have this like ABC. Now I look at this. It looks like three waves, so that can't be C. Um, so yeah, I think with Crocs here, I look at this and I go, the impulse. It actually charted perfectly. Maybe looking at it a second time here, perhaps better label it like this, and then show that you need another dip lower. And that would get you to 97.76, something like that. That's probably the better chart. Yeah, it looks like it's finished. But if it were to pump again, this would be the area. So something, but look at that candle. That's nasty 4-hour candle. So looks something like that. Okay. I'll go on. Did I get kicked off of YouTube or Twitter? No, I just had some people trying to threaten me and stuff like that. They got really mad when I was calling for a pump. And I guess they got so mad they wanted to, find where I was at and try to hurt me, and so I got nervous about that. Go figure, though, the market did pump, so I guess I was right after all with tech. And it's funny because someone's like, "Oh, you changed your mind, you don't know what you're doing," and I'm like, "Look, guys, I called the pump. I put the charts of Shopify, RK, I put all that shit on Twitter, and it pumped. And when the banks broke down, guess what? I took profit on all those. None of those positions were in the red for me. I took profit. I just took the profit on the wave three peak in tech. So if you want to understand like my trading mindset, you know, tech had one, has had three pumps, right? I took profit here around this area here, guys. Okay. So yeah, shit, I missed a little bit more upside, but I left the market because once the banks fell down, the structure of the market is no good no more. It isn't safe to be long anymore. But I was calling the pump. Now it's exceeded my expectations, but and I profited from the pump. I gave you guys Coinbase. I gave you guys all these charts. I told you guys when to buy Bitcoin. So I don't know, but whoever it was super pissed. I was telling you guys to buy that pump when we were down here because those charts I posted were right around here when the Nasdaq was at 273, guys. So whoever that was like giving I guess I was giving you guys the answers to the test, and they were so mad, they were so pissed off. Um, and now I'm getting hate mail from it's funny because those are the people that are like, oh, I'm posting pump. Now I'm posting the bearish post. So I'm getting the opposite. So it's weird. It's weird. I don't know who's controlling the market. Maybe they've got these guys on Twitter, like, hey, shit, don't let everyone know what's really happening. We can't we want to fool as many people as we can, and maybe that's what they were doing down here, was they're trying to load up on tech, and I was like, hey guys, load up on tech, and I'm not supposed to tell you that. I wasn't supposed to share that information, and so I must have pissed off, somebody important enough or people enough that they got so agitated because I think, yeah, I was giving you guys the answers to the test, and they were super pissed. And then we came up here, the banks collapsed, and then yeah, I got the fuck out of tech, and now I'm out of tech, and so now this pump, so I missed this pump. I don't care. I don't want to chase Nvidia up here, and I wasn't in Nvidia. I was in AMD, right? And I was in these other ones, but anyway, for solar, it was so I made money in the pump. I just didn't overstay my welcome. But that was what was happening. But now I'm just blocking any negative comment in any way, passive aggressive comment, you're blocked. It's just the way it goes, and I don't care, and I won't unblock you. So you better think about what you want to post if you want to continue to follow me. Yeah, let's take a look at that one here. Holy shit, what happened here? 16%. Did they have some news hit? I don't see any negative news. Was there news? Was there some kind of news event? Well, then it's got to be this. It's got to be like But see, that only looks like three waves right here. Yeah, I'm actually gonna probably buy the dip on this. I don't know what happened here, but tells me this is typically they don't want the stock to pump yet, and they're trying to get out weak hands. But the structure again, look at the picture. You have a massive cup and handle that broke out, it back tested and held. So this is just a gift. I mean, if you're trying to get long this stock, I don't know what happened here, but that's just like somebody just gave you a gift. I think this looks like three waves, so this is probably some kind of flat correction happening here. Um, and again, it could be a run-in flat, so let's look at this at a 45 minute. Let's look at the 4 hour. Yeah, it's three waves. It's three waves. So it's still in this two. Maybe it's trying to back test it again in some way. So one, two. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your 5. Yeah, there's divergence. Yeah, it's a tricky it's a flat type structure, but we'll see if it turns into like a run-in flat or not. I would say I'll probably wait to buy it. I probably won't buy it here, but this is not a good structure. It looks like do something like that, and too. So this too. I guess you have to be careful. It could drop. You know, so I don't know what the news is if it's worth enough that it could get this kind of reaction, but that's all that's going on here. I think. I actually don't think. I don't know. I think that's the chart I see in it right now. Um, I wouldn't call it five waves like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't like that count because of that reset on that RSI. Unless this RSI is going to go down and break that low. So I guess there's an alternative count. And the reason I don't like this alternative count is it looks like this is three legs and not five right here. Um, but some people could try to label it like that. And then you come back to like 19 and then out. So I don't like it because of the three wave move in five because it shouldn't be three waves. So I'll go anyway. The structure is complicated. I would be careful short term, but I still think long term it's okay. Something like that. Yeah, it's still bullish. It's just scams. Somebody's trying to blow out weekends. Trade Desk used to do shit like this all the time. Before pre-split Trade Desk, I had traded that since $40 pre-split all the way up to $300, and it would always do crap like that as it would before it would pump. It would drop like 15% on earnings, and then the next day, be up and make it all back. So it's like crazy, those stocks that people really want to own. This is what typically happens, and that's what they were doing with Trade Desk early in its chart history. It would move like 15% in one day, 30% in one day, downside, upside too. I mean, there were shorts that would yell at me on stock twits about, what the hell? It's just ad tech. This is, my count's blown up, and they just kept shorting. It'll be up 30%, 40%, and then it would revert. So I think this is one of those stocks that people want it, and the big players are trying to like shake people out of it. What's the market cap of this thing? 861. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think obviously it's trying to shake out the weak hands before it goes higher. Continues its run higher. Yeah, Tesla should be coming to an end. It decided, I think, to double correct higher. Um, yeah, I'm going with something. So it's obviously so it could have ended here. It did it. It came up. So it should end at any moment. Isn't there news this weekend about deliveries or something? The cars. Maybe that's going to be not a good. Maybe that's not going to be good news. Yeah, it's going to end at any moment. Any moment. And then it should drop. Somewhere down here. 148. So good luck on that. HSI is lower. It did hit our short area. We thought it was going to miss it here, but the market came through. It hit the short area, selling off. So I think China is going to be bearish, which means the dollar is going to go higher. It makes sense. I showed you the dollar chart. It's about to break out. That means China's about to break down. So China should be breaking down, and if it can hold this low, then right here at 3, that would be great. A great to go long. K-Web here. It may not do 4 or 5 and break the low. If it doesn't, just does 3 swings, that's fine. And then you can get back into all of those. And I believe Neo will finally trade at its low that it needs to. So I think this is it right here. Moment of truth for the Chinese market is right here. If we break this low, then the bear market is going to continue in China for some reason. Solana, yeah, I'm mad at myself with Solana. I didn't pull the trigger on that. I mean, I even watched it hit the buy area that I had been charting for like the last year, and I was just like, no, I'm not buying this. I'm just not going to bring myself to buy this, and that's probably why I should have bought it. But Here we go, ABC. I did show you guys this bounce area, and I had a nice bounce. Look at that, out of there with an impulse. All right, so Solana looks okay. Solana looks good, man. But this too could still come back down. I think this is 5 up, so it's got 3. So maybe we're going to get this little crypto pump to finish up Bitcoin, get Bitcoin to 31, 32,000, get these altcoins to finish its sequence. Yeah, so this isn't an impulse here. I don't think so. Maybe it is on the shorter time frame. Um, that looks good for it too. Yeah. I mean, you got to do what's best for you, but it looks like it's ready to explode higher. It could, or or it's still, yeah, it's still in this too. I think maybe. So just be careful. So I do think this is the count for now. You may see a dip down to 19.8, and then hopefully can hold 19.32. So perhaps it does something like this, down to like 19.8, and then it could rip higher in the next wave higher. It doesn't look bearish. It needs at least one more high, and then at that point it could make new lows. But because it's 5 up, it should make another swing higher. I think. But I could be wrong. So do what's best for you. If for some reason we fail, then this was a connector. Uh, and I would say use that as your stop. So use 19.4, and then if 19.4 breaks, I would be careful trading it, and then it could drop to 13.3, 10.84. So it's kind of like a low risk, high reward. You long in this area, stop at 19.3. 19.3 breaks, chances are 16 will break, and if 16 breaks, it goes down to where I showed you 13. So that's the bullish set. So it's got a bullish setup, it looks like to me. Inverse head and shoulders looking thing, kind of trying to materialize, even on a bigger inverse head and shoulders look, right? Yeah, could see it hit 48. But like I said, it just needs one more swing. The next swing up, then I would say it's a coin flip, because these altcoins, they could go to new lows. But do what's best for you. I think I understand the basics of how to use RSI. I just use Stoke RSI to let me know also when cycles, and because it also helps with the noise. So like an example, like let's say go back to the SPY on the 45 minute. I'm trying to fine tune an entry. Let's say I'm trying to fine tune a short or long entry. So you could use, like, look at the 45-minute Stoke RSI. So it's here. You don't really know much. You know the cycle's extended. We're watching for the cycle to end the trend line. But the Stoke RSI is also giving you a warning. You see there's divergence here, bearish divergence in the Stoke RSI. And also you're already in the overbought area, the 45-minute. And right, the Stoke RSI isn't just going to stay here forever. So we know it's due to come down. So I've got to swing. So if I'm day trading, I know that I'm going to get a 45-minute pullback soon. I'm going to get a pullback of some kind. So then I'll go to the 4 hour. The 4 hour, I'm going to get a pullback. The daily is due for a pullback soon. And then you go to the weekly, you go, oh, the weekly isn't. So that means I look at that and go, okay, so I'm going to get a pretty good pullback, but it's probably going to bounce and not crash. That's what that's telling me. And then I go, what's the 15 minutes showing me? Okay, and it has more upside. So here it's like, okay, I've got more upside, but then eventually the 45 and 4 hour cycle is going to take over and bring this down. And it just helps me give me a good visibility to pinpoint entries. The RSI doesn't tend to do that here, as well as the Stoke RSI. That's why I like to use it. It's just, and if you're day trade, I think Stoke RSI is valuable because then you look for the crossover, and then once you get the crossover, you know that's a signal. That's your signal. Um, and you can do that on the 5 minute chart, right? You know, you can look here, you could see where you had crossover. Right there, you got that crossover. That's where you got this little dip. So if you're playing, 0 day expiration puts, right when you got that crossover, you buy that. And then right when you come down here, boom, you take your profit. And then you day trade at that swing. And now you see, look at the 5 minutes, wants to go up. So what does that tell me? The market's going to go higher, right? That's what it tells me. Now, it could still pull back down, but even if it does that, it'll just be a little dip. It'll be supported, So you just gotta that's how I use the Stoke RSI. It's more of an art form than like hard fast rules, but I just like to use it for some confirmation of cycles. But sometimes the regular RSI isn't clear. Although when the RSI does break these channels, it almost always works. Because I think what it is, I think the market makers know how to manipulate price, but to manipulate price and the RSI, that's not possible. So the RSI lets you see the truth of what's happening. I think the RSI cuts through the truth. This is artificial end of the quarter pump buy to make the numbers look good, make our bonuses, all that. That's what was happening here. We can't sell off. We need to give the illusion of like stability. We need to do that so people stop selling, and banks specifically too, bank stocks. But the RSI, you can't manipulate. Look, see, you can't pump the RSI. Look at the divergence here. You see, they can pump the price and get us to FOMO in, but we're like, it's a fake move. Look at you guys. Look what you're doing. So that's why I like the RSI. The RSI is harder. To be able to manipulate price in RSI, that's almost impossible to do. But maybe they'll figure that out one day too, and then we'll have to use a different system. Um, if the AMD could be in a WXYXZ, especially if the RSI erased divergence, and in fact that's good because I wanted to see that. Um, yeah. So I've been going back and forth on the labeling on here, but so there's divergence on the daily here at this peak. So it to me it's 5 up. It's 5 up because of that. And and what does that mean exactly? Well, it means either we're going to get another spike higher to erase that divergence in a convincing manner, which seems likely, right? So that's why I think the market could do that, and then if we could do that, then we're back to a corrective structure, this structure. But if not, then you have to respect the impulse, and that would be an a B, and a C, and that's how I trade it, something like that, and then later we get that. So I think that's where we're headed with AMD. So semiconductors are good to buy the dip on, but they're impulsive. That means they should take another swing higher when the market finds support, but eventually it won't even fail itself. So that's why I'm looking at the semiconductor. I look at semiconductors this way. Uh, so this is a trade. So like on this pullback coming up in April, I think we're going to have. I'm a buyer of semiconductors. I'm a buyer of energy, metals, and miners. Um, that's what I'm buying. That's what I'm buying on the pullback. That's coming. It may be maybe the green stocks. We'll see the First Solar and Phase. I think this is I think this is the chart for AMD. Something like that. Oh, an executive left. Huh. All that, boy, he was that good. The stock dropped 16%. Yeah, that seems like an overreaction, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I know. And you left AEHR, and no, but it wants to shake out the weak hands. And maybe I'm not saying you're a weak hand. I'm just saying it wants people out of the stock. That's why it drops like that. It wants to scare people out of the stock. Flats do that. I can't tell you early in my trading history how many times I left stocks that corrected in flats to only see them go into massive new highs when the flat ended. But that's what flats do. Only the most convicted, the people with the most conviction or superior money management can survive a flat. So either you got to be super conviction about the stock and the company, or you have to have the best risk management system, money management, or you can't survive a flat. And that's why flats destroy traders, because they don't know what they are unless you are trade with Elliott waves. You know what they are. Flats, flats destroy traders. And and again, it even gets the best of me. Like I was in Chainlink crypto coin and accumulated that really nicely before the bull market, right? And even despite my best emotional emotions, right? And I try here, and if you look what we had here, oh, where were we back in yeah, not this part, that was too much. Go back to yeah, where is it? This is it, right? This structure here, you see that? I'm like, I accumulate it all in here. Chainlink. I had so much Chainlink. And then this happened. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing money. And what happens? You're human. You get out. You're like, I'm dumping this. And then look what it did. See my point? That's what flats do. Flats. So I guess I just didn't have enough conviction about Chainlink to hold through that. But that's what flats. So flats even destroy really good traders. Even So that's what flats do. They try, but then look what came after that flat. The 20 without looking back. So you have to recognize it. So if you're in a flat, it's it's short term bearish. It's short term horrible. It's like super fear. Think of the financial crisis was a flat. '09 was a flat. '08 was a flat. Super. It's horrible. But when the flat ends, you usually get a mega pump, a massive move, V bottom higher. So if you can recognize, oh man, I'm in a flat, then you won't panic out of it and you can try to like, okay, how do I manage this situation? Because I know once the flat happens, the flat usually means I'll have continuation, at least one more swing up. It's usually not a top in type situation. So the flat, which means like extension. So the flat means that you got to like persevere. It's going to test your conviction and test your risk management. But when I see them, those are huge opportunities because they almost always V bottoms and goes crazy at when the flat's done and it clears the deck because all the weak hands left and then people not with the conviction left, and then what happens is it starts to move and then everyone was like, oh my gosh, I want to get back in, and then they just chase and the price just goes up. um, did you see China banning Micron will escalate to the market? Yeah, I saw that, and Micron sold off. Weren't they pumping? I was like, why are they pumping Micron? It had the worst earnings report imaginable, but it was up 6%. That's how desperate someone is to keep this market like higher. And I just think to myself, what is going on with the company? But then the news dropped with China, and I heard it sold off. But I hadn't really kept an eye on it. It's not a two. Two, yeah, something like that. So I'm not going to label that, but it's a bear flag. I'm just going to say it's a bear flag, right? I'll go back to just chart in 101, right? Everyone call it bear flag, and usually five swings should do it. A, B, C, D, E. Um, Maybe I'm off, by one, like something like that, and maybe that's the low here, right? So this is going to resolve lower. This is just a bear flag, in my opinion. Um, but do what's best for you. But yeah, I think it. I don't know. It might. It's definitely a warning sign. I do think if we ban TikTok, and then they ban this, that I think eventually you watch they'll ban Apple. You know it's coming, and then everyone's going to ban everybody, and it's a trade war. It's an economic war. Um, so yeah, I see this back and forth. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Um, yeah, here and the problem with gold and silver miners right now is people are worried that they're not going to make any money because AG closed their mines because the price of silver is so low, the costs have gone up so much they can't make a profit. They go out of business. The miners go out of business. So the price of the metal has to go up higher uh, and exceed the cost of production. The problem is the production cost is exceeding what the metal is, so the miners are struggling and they're holding back, and people are like, why aren't the miners pumping? That's why. And if we get a massive burst of inflation, their costs are only going to go higher. So that metal price has to start going more parabolic before the miners catch up. So miners are lagging until the metal price really gets its act together. But once it does, the miners will pump pretty well, and could be that opportunity you talk about. Also, miners, you have to be careful of naturalization risk. If a miner's in Brazil and the world's falling apart, what is the government going to do? They're going to take over the gold mine because they need the gold to run the government. So the miners have risks. That's why I rather trade the metal itself, the commodity itself. But there's a lot of risk inherent in it unless you buy like maybe miners in America or a country there isn't social risk of a government just coming in and nationalizing it because they need the mine to like stay in business to like keep the country alive, and they will do that in a heartbeat in some of these countries. They'll just take, trust me. And so if whatever mines you've got, so you got to understand. So it takes some thought too before you just buy miners. So just that's my take on the miners. Um, all right. So I'm going. I got to go. Thanks again, guys. Market should sell off in April, bounce in the summer, and then catastrophe in the fall, which is typically what the market does, right? They love to crash in October, and maybe this won't be any different. Uh, and we'll see. But I don't know what the news will be to drive the market lower. But we do have a lot of news coming up: earnings, CPI, and then we'll go from there. We'll see. And then of course the rest of Trump, some black swans out there: Russia, Taiwan. So a lot can happen that could drive the market lower. And the market technically is stretched, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little more upside